Yeah, it's kind of cold out right now. I just came from outside and holy crap, the temperature just dropped. But I want you to understand the foundation of Jilly Juice, okay? The foundation of Jilly Juice is to do what's difficult that is evolutionary. Not revolutionary, but evolutionary. And evolution has to do with strengthening your weaknesses, not working from your strengths all the time. Yes, it's great to work from your strengths, and I have a lot of strengths, but I also have a lot of weaknesses. And one of the biggest weaknesses that I have right now is writing. And so what I'm doing right now, writing this next book, is to work on my weakness, which is writing and verbalizing, well, articulating what I am trying to convey through the written word. And that means I have to expand my vocabulary. That means that I have to look and see examples of what others are doing in different contexts, which are the same. Okay? And so when I challenge people, when I'm a bitch, yeah, I could be a bitch sometimes, yes. But it's not because I'm trying to destroy anyone. It's because I know that they have weaknesses that they need to work on. And it's not for me to make them do it, but I want them to see that they can strengthen their weaknesses. I know what weaknesses I have. You guys have seen it. I've produced 3 different books. The first book was crappy. Hey, Gail. The second book, which is the Exposing the Lies, which is the first book that is on my website, that was copyright 2018. It wasn't super, it was super informative as far as my thought process, but it wasn't organized correctly. The evolution of the Jilly Juice protocol showed my evolution when the COVID-19 came around. And so I really then narrowed my focus and made it to be very to the point, but there's still a lot of work I have to do, and I know it. Right now, I'm being challenged by the fact that I want to get this book out, this next book out, give you all the information, but I have to slow down my thought process because I can rattle off stuff right and left. I can rattle off stuff and speak off the cuff about Jilly Juice and the benefits of Jilly Juice, but there are other people that need to read it in a very organized, scientific manner, of which is not my strength. I'm more of a big picture person, but I can be both big picture and small picture. So this is why I kind of got off the Facebook Lives, but I've been doing it a little bit recently because there are things that I need to work on that I have to verbalize and hear it. And of course, you guys are my audience, so you'll get the benefit of me working on my weaknesses. But ultimately, it's going to translate into a strength. And so when I know someone that has a lot of weaknesses, but doesn't want to show them, and they want to be an influencer contributor to Jilly Juice in some way, I'm not going to want them to do that. I want to see people on the J Juice, especially when you're so senior. When you've been on the J Juice ever since the big group, since 2017, and you still haven't challenged your weaknesses, what is your evolution? I want to hear your evolution. If you write so well, then articulate your evolution. Anyone can do research and look up what cell biology is, can, make things look kind of pretty based upon your perspective as far as a written word. But in reality, can you use both the left side and the right side of your brain? Can you be a good writer and be also a good speaker, conveying information? Am I a great speaker? I think I'm okay. I'm not 100%, whatever that is. I know I could be better. But I'm also in the learning process of taking so much compartmentalized information and trying to bring it and have it coalesce to be an actual organized thought process to where I can rattle off like that and bring in all different concepts without thinking too much or grabbing for words or hitting mental blocks. Okay? And so, yeah, many people want to say that they want to help me write the book or help me do this or help me do that. And if I want help, I usually will ask for it. But no, I don't need help with writing at this point. What I need help is for people to be an example that they are challenging their weaknesses and making them their strengths. And if it means that I have to block and delete again because, I'm not seeing the evolution, I'll do that. Sometimes you have to set boundaries so that person can evolve, because me allowing someone to only show their strengths but not their weaknesses doesn't allow them to evolve. Sometimes you have to go on your own and evolve on your own Facebook wall, write or speak through Facebook Live, and show that you have the capability of being okay with being real. Being real means you can also, show that you're able to kind of want to look stupid sometimes because you're just trying to evolve. My husband's coming back in right now, so I'm going to get off here real quick. But hold on a second. And he'll be on the phone. Hold on a second. Hey, Jason. I'm doing Facebook Live. Do you want to go upstairs and talk to Kevin?
Do what?
I'm on Facebook Live. Can you go upstairs or something?
No,
So
I can't go upstairs.
Please, or go downstairs. Or go downstairs, or whatever.
You go upstairs.
But yeah, I mean, the whole point of Jilly Juice is to show that you do have weaknesses. You're willing to work on them. Don't mind my hair, it's crazy. And that you're willing to show people that you have them. I mean, when Bridget came on to Dr. Phil with me, she showed the world that she had weaknesses. She was able to handle the backlash of people thinking that she's stupid because she's following Jilly Juice, and now she's actually shining like a star. Okay? When John gives a testimony, when Krista gives testimonies, when you guys send me private messages giving me just kind of your experiences and that you were kind of remiss and you got off of J Juice and you get it and you just need a little bit of moral support. I don't mind that because you're being vulnerable. You're showing that, yeah, you know the value of J Juice, but yeah, you happen to have a conflict because it is difficult. It's not easy doing J Juice. Drinking salty liquid that is fermented in cabbage and kale, it's not easy. And then having to deal with your evolution, it's not easy. But if you're only showing your strengths to the world, then you're like a bodybuilder that has a small penis. Okay, and I know it sounds kind of pejorative, but that's kind of what it is. It's like you're trying to overcompensate instead of balancing everything out and seeing, okay, you have a weakness here, you're willing to work on it, and that, that you're not all just muscle flexing 24/7. JJ, I know sharing space is crazy sometimes. Oh, he's going outside. Okay. And so I don't want people always flexing on my page. It's easy to flex. If I could just want to work on my strengths, I'd say, forget writing, I'll just do speaking, but is that going to get the point across to all different types of people? Not everybody wants to listen to me drone on and on through Facebook Live. Some people need the written word to see things in a different way because, yes, right now their weaknesses is they can't listen to somebody because they have ADHD or ADD. So it's easier to comprehend difficult concepts when they read it and they can go and research it. Anybody can go research cell biology. It's not difficult for those that are that driven to go and research. It's not difficult for them. So the thing is that what I want from my people, senior or elementary, is to figure out what your weaknesses are and are you willing to face them? And your weaknesses could be your symptoms. Are you willing to face your symptoms? Some of you aren't. Some of you do only a little bit of J Juice, don't want to really see the major evolution. And so you're only going to get this far and then the environment's going to get that much more aggressive and you're going to have a more difficult time. And so, that's the whole point of J Juice, is to go and face your demons. And if your demons are, you don't want to look stupid on Facebook Live, if your demons are that you don't want to look stupid anywhere, then you're never going to get further than your strengths, which at this point, when you have your issues, your predispositions, your strengths are very minimal because you are rapidly degrading. Okay, I can tell who's evolving because they're willing to put themselves out there, or they're willing to write me an email or write me a private messenger without too much back and forth and say, hey, yeah, this is where I'm at. I appreciate you pushing the different angles that you push because sometimes I have to say it in a way that they get it because they're coming from a very specific perspective. That's why I keep saying the same things in different ways, because not everybody gets the one way that I explain it. And so it takes a few times for them to get it because I have to say it in a different way to speak to their listening. Okay, so me blocking people, me deleting comments is my way of helping them face their evolution if they want to. And it's not because I'm being generous, it's the fact that they've imposed their viewpoints and wanting to flex on my page. And I don't want people flexing on my page all the time. I like real people. I like real people who are willing to risk judgment, to risk ridicule, to risk whatever, because it's important to them to make sure that they evolve, that they can handle public pressure, they can handle pressure no matter what, and they won't fold. Okay? That they have fight in them. If you don't have fight in you, then you're always going to work from your strengths and you'll never ever face your weaknesses. And then you'll pass away like everybody else who only works from their strengths. Okay? So the strengths on the J juice is knowing what your weaknesses are and willing to face them and work on them and overcome them. And then it's not a weakness anymore. It's a strength. And you're not afraid to say, hey, at one point, at one point I was afraid to do Facebook Lives. I had the camera pointed in a different direction. All I did was just speak, and the camera was pointing somewhere else and you never saw my face. And then over time, I got comfortable with looking at myself. And then, at some point before I really started evolving, I was like rambling. And, like Bridget was saying when she first listened to me, she's like, I knew there was a point somewhere in between all the words that you were saying. I knew you were onto something, but I also knew that there was, you still had to glean out a few concepts. And so the real loyal people stayed with me. Yes, they evolved with me. They didn't challenge me too much. I don't mind a couple challenges here and there, but I have to evolve, which means that I have to be the one to do the work. At some point, no, I did try to give the work to some people because I didn't want to evolve, and that was my own fault. And I created issues from that because I wanted to only work on my strengths and not my weaknesses. And then it bit me in the ass. And then what happens when then some people wanted to take that power and then transition the Jilly Juice into a different thing that I wasn't comfortable with. So I finally had to take back all of my power and say, okay, I have to be the one to write my books, deal with whatever ridicule there is about the books, because maybe it's not always what they expected it to be. And when I look back and read my book, I'm like, wow, I could have expanded more on this. But then my intention was really just to get the new evolution of the Jilly Juice protocol out, not so much on expand on too much, because I wasn't really expanded in the beginning of this year. When I published my last book was right on the heels of the COVID coming out, and where I changed the salt because I was afraid that we weren't going to get the pink salt imported because of, foreign stuff. And then I had an epiphany that white salt was the best. And so I just want you guys to understand that, yes, evolution happens in stages. It doesn't happen right away. It takes work. It takes facing your demons, whether it's symptoms or other demons that you have, that you've, swept under the rug, ignored them, anesthetized them, drugged them, taken them out. Okay? And sometimes you do have to separate yourself from some people because of the energy that they invoke. And it's not always, it's not that they're bad energy. It's just it's not aligned with your biochemistry. And when you always have conflicts in biochemistry and you're always fighting in an uphill battle, it takes a lot of energy out of you when it could be going to something that's going to strengthen you. And some of the negative energy, it did incentivize me to do better. But at some point, you can't live off of controversy all the time. At some point, you have to have some kind of peace in your world so you can think and put things together in an organized manner where it isn't always a fight. Okay? And so, specific measurable results are, can you articulate your evolution? Or is it just this little symptom here, which I understand symptoms are huge, especially with those that have many predispositions. But at some point, you can't be having the same testimony with the same symptoms. At some point, there has to be a different evolution. And some of you, are having different evolutions that maybe you don't want to expose them out, and that's fine. But if you want to be an influencer on J Juice, you got to do what I do and face the demons in a public way if you want to collaborate with me in some way. And collaboration takes that you're able to face public pressure and not fold and not be afraid and stay in your lane if someone says stay in your lane. And, if you can't do that, then what are you doing? I mean, anybody can flex. It's not hard to flex. What's hard is to show your tiny Peter. Okay? And that's the best metaphor I can think of because, we always know about, guys that have to go and overcompensate for what they think is not enough for women. And at this point, I don't even care how big or small anyone's Peter is. It's a matter of who they are in this world. Okay? And what their evolutionary cycles are. What are they evolving from? What are they evolving to? Who do they want to be? Are they willing to risk facing their own demons? Are they willing to be an example for their community to show that it's not the end of the world, that, you look dumb sometimes? Believe me, I've been on Facebook Live where I'm railing, being a total jackass, knowing I would get bad reviews from it, but I'm like, I don't care. When people are like, oh, you're not being very empathetic, you're not being open, you're not being this or amiable or kind and patient, you're not being, and I risk all that because it's where I'm at the time. If I am out of line, I'll admit I'm out of line. If there's a reason, and there usually is a reason why, I do the things I do, and I don't always know what the reason is until later on when I actually can think about it because I'm not so emotional. But I'm telling you, evolution and indefinite life means facing your demons. It means that, your reality is based upon your hormonal charges that you get. And that takes a lot of energy, that usurps your life force, that compounds your predispositions to where now it's harder to evolve. And then you're faced with having to take medication. You're faced with getting therapeutics. You're faced with fearing things that you normally wouldn't fear. And, and so when you're able to actually face your evolution and face the demons, you will see a whole different thought process. And then you won't be run by your hormones. And the thing is, there are a lot of people that are run by their hormones that don't even know it because it's their reality. It's what makes them money, yes. It makes them strong temporarily. But there is an expiration date when you are completely running from or run by your hormones. And there's, your body has billions of hormones, but the main ones are sexual energy, as well as feeling sad, happy, glad, depressed, excited, anxiety. All the main ones that people take drugs for is what causes people to have hormonal imbalances. It's what causes people to devolve on a rapid basis. Right. It's false strength. At some point, you're going to have to pay the piper if you're not invoking a balanced way of manifesting your hormones. And so I was remembering something about men and women, and when it comes to procreation, there are two halves that make a whole. A whole person doesn't need another person to uplift them, doesn't need another person to make them feel whole, doesn't need doesn't need somebody else to make them who they are. They are a whole person on their own. They don't lean on someone so much. There may be certain areas where you're in a transition into independence where, yes, at this point, until you become fully evolved, you're going to depend upon your friends and family to keep you alive. But at some point, a whole person is going to be relatively self-sustaining. And they won't need somebody else to dictate who they are in this world because they are a whole person. And then that's when they won't want to procreate or do the act of procreation because those hormones are not the surface anymore, trying to mitigate extinction. Those hormones are now below the surface, and it may take a lot to bring them to the surface if you have to. And so that's the whole point of Jilly Juice, is the fact that you can be a whole person all on your own without somebody else or without flexing all the time. And when you have to flex, whether it's your muscles or the couple strengths that you have, then it shows that there's a lot more that you have that are weaknesses that you're afraid to show. Okay? And so that's why I don't want anyone influencing me as far as my ideas for the book. I don't want anyone dropping all this stuff on my Facebook unless I've already given you the green light to go ahead and do what you got to do and say what you got to say. And the ones that know that I'm okay with collaborating, they're on my Facebook. They're friends. Okay? So if you're a friend on my Facebook, you know your boundaries. And I appreciate that you know your boundaries. It's been a struggle for a few, but I understand that. I know where you're at, and you're willing to try again and know your place and be a great contributing member. Okay? I know my place on people's Facebooks. I can't always go and just dispute somebody's thought process because they are where they are. Now, if I want to dispute their thought process, I'll go on my own Facebook and post something that will be directly in conflict with what and they'll either read it or they won't, or I'll tag them and delete the tag. So that way I don't totally embarrass them, but I'm willing to risk them deleting me off their Facebook because I want them to get the message, because yeah, they're in my group. Because yeah, they're on the J Juice. Because I do hold some kind of commitment to those that are in my group, that are my friends, that they don't completely get, sidetracked with things that are going to undermine their healing process. I want them to win. I really don't want people to lose. But some people will be their own worst enemy because they're too committed to other things aside from evolution. Even if you don't believe in evolution, then fine, adaptation. If you're religious and you don't like the word evolution, then adaptation. The longer you're on the J Juice and the more you're committed to Jilly Juice and facing your demons, the easier adaptation is to any new microbiome it will be. And so this last adaptation to the new COVID-19 strain that's in my area was far easier. Like I said, I had to deal with fatigue and I ate a bunch of food. I did maybe a few shots of J Juice here and there, but in reality, I didn't do too much J Juice because it was the food that the body needed. I already am healed and sealed. Now it's just adapting to the continuous change in environment because the COVID-19 is rapidly mutating. And with the new vaccines coming out, whether you get them or not, you'll be exposed to someone who's been exposed to someone who got them. And that virus is going to mutate. You'll have to go and adapt again. And that's why you're seeing an uptick in your predispositions. It's not just like, oh, the flu just disappeared or heart attacks and strokes disappeared and all that. No, they're still around, but they're being triggered by the COVID because the body wants to evolve. That's what symptoms are. The body wants to evolve. And the fact that people die from symptoms is because they don't have enough of the nutritional retention in their body to be able to regenerate and replicate cells. That the body finally cannibalizes itself. And that's what the aging process is, when the body cannibalizes itself because it doesn't have enough energy to be able to self-replicate to where you are actually looking younger and feeling younger and being proportional and balanced in body, mind, and spirit. And so that's why supplements and remedies and prescription drugs and taking out organs or getting transplants exist, because people don't want to evolve. And so guess what? You're like being a scarecrow, being stuffed by the medical holistic industry, being stuffed and oiled by somebody else. And then eventually, there won't be anything left to stuff or to oil because the body has finally cannibalized itself to death. It ended up in your vital organs. Okay? So you have the ability to evolve on your own or adapt. And, the sooner you do J Juice, the longer you stay on J Juice, the easier the adaptation to the new environments are going to be. But you keep going on and off the J Juice and you keep flexing your muscles, you'll never face your demons. You'll never face your weaknesses, and you'll die from your strengths. That's exactly essentially what's going on. Our people are dying from their strengths because they never wanted to face their weaknesses. And so that's why I am the way I am. That's why I take a hard line for those that truly are committed to not evolving. They want to keep flexing on my page. No more flexing on my page. You show your weaknesses, you show how you can challenge yourself to evolve, or you don't say anything at all. You just have supportive comments. But I don't like people flexing on my page who have been on the J juice for years and still haven't gotten past whatever symptom that they talked about way in the beginning. Like they refuse to give anyone a glimpse of who they are. What are you hiding? You know, I have nothing to hide. I am an open fucking book. There is nothing that I have that I need to hide because you guys are dealing with the same shit that I'm dealing with. Maybe you're a different gender, but you're still dealing with the same shit that I'm dealing with. And you can overcome whatever weaknesses you have. It just takes work. It takes commitment. It takes drive. It takes changing your biochemistry. And then guess what? You have now an astronomical level of potential that can finally be fulfilled. But humanity has not been able to fulfill their own potential because they keep dying before 100. And they're working from their hormones. They're all about their sexual energy. It's all about my sexual energy. It's all about, meeting my hormonal needs on an everyday basis. Well, yes, food does contribute to balance out your hormones, but it's the type of hormones and then what it is that you're doing and what kind of high you're getting off of it, because foods can be a drug too. All right. So a balanced body doesn't get high off of food and drugs. A balanced body is able to utilize the microbiome and the food supply to keep them even keeled, productive, obviously balanced, relatively peaceful, and able to just overcome any weaknesses that they might have, whatever they are. And it's going to take a lot of work for some of you. Some of you have already gone past certain points where now you've seen that you can overcome a handful of your weaknesses and you know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. The adaptation process is getting easier because you actually face one of your biggest demons, whatever they are. It's different for everybody. I'm telling you, Jilly Juice is not easy, but it's not supposed to be. What's easy is taking your drugs. What's easy is to always fulfill your cravings. What's easy is to take out organs. What's easy to go for your operations. What's easy is to do your supplements and pretend that you're evolving. It's easy to flex your muscles. What's not easy is to face your demons. And that's the whole point of Jilly Juice. All right. Good luck, you guys. Bye.